What's the matter?
I was scared, okay? I had to do it!
Angel, tell me it's not true.
I didn't have a choice! I'm not like you! I can't even fight! They said I'm even useless as an outer.
An outer?
The strong will always crush the weak! Always! 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 There's no way out, no way to win! It's hopeless! 100 years, 1,000, it doesn't matter how many! It'll never change!
Why? Why didn't you tell me?
Just go. Don't pretend to care about me.
Angel.
I said go! Why? Why is it like this? Why? I don't want to be. I hate feeling scared. And you're just okay with how messed up things are? Because I'm not. I can't do it. I can't live like this anymore. Where are you going? Somewhere I'm free to be myself. You're looking for a place that doesn't exist. The strong will always devour the weak. That's our reality.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday, aka Saturday morning. Filming this super late because, well, I got more than enough footage from Arc Raiders and Marathon and all these games. Actually, gotta go back and, play some more Neo 3, get back into like some more of the indie games. But I've been thinking a lot about how people have been basically parasitically attached to hysteria, the end of the world type scenario. Women are no good, men are no good, society is untrustworthy. And I do feel that there are some truths to this. Like, if we're going to be honest, like, the government has not been forthcoming with the citizens, has been very nefarious. Like, I think like the symbolic representation of that is seeing Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau dating. It's just the symbolic relationship between a super class of people who are artificially inflated to and hyperly sexualized to indoctrinate the youth, whereas you have a guy who is a nepo baby, because his dad was former prime minister, and he didn't really, do anything for Canada other than legalize weed and create like one of the largest, immigration problems. Basically, Europe, like, I'd say 5.5. Like, it's not like even close to how bad Europe is getting at, and we're even seeing it across Europe. How there are people out there who are beginning to see that this idea of pointing the finger at another group of people and saying racist is your downfall, because you've alienated yourself from the human race. So let's talk a little bit about Nicki Minaj, Puff Daddy, and the whole entertainment industry. And like how, much like Epstein, Puff Daddy would try to get these incriminating videos, like record these people in these sexual acts and stuff, and use it against these people. It's almost as if, like, the lack of jail time that Puff Daddy has is due to the fact that he might have been associated with Jeffrey Epstein, or like, using the similar tactics and had some, very powerful names that he didn't disclose, and, he just got a slap on the wrist, even though he literally threw, a beating on a woman. But Eh. So basically, Nicki Minaj, after the threat on her life was cleared, so she was dating Meek Mills at the time, um, was talking about how Puff Daddy would use baby oil or whatever and drugs and alcohol to ply, you know, men mostly, but sometimes also women, because she was, saying she was a victim of this, to do these sexual acts to basically get dirt on people. But it goes a step further. There was a complicit effort, excuse me, by these individuals to spread the HIV, the AIDS around. People are complaining about that. Usher's complaining about that. Everybody's like, "Oh, who do we blame?" It's Puff Daddy. It's the origin point of all your miseries. And the cost of victory, the cost of getting justice for the victims, the cost of having your voice heard is nothing. It's silence, because he's not Donald Trump. He's not the opposition. He's not the television's ideal vision of a bad guy. You see, you need buildup. You need unforgivable acts. You cannot be forgiven, and then you create the enemy archetype, like Donald Trump, who opened the Strait of Hormuz. Oh no, let me tell you, man, that's so evil. Gas prices are going down. The world economy stabilizing. You know, you see, if it was like, you feel if it was a bad dancer, if Donald Trump was a bad dancer and liked men instead of women, he'll be the bad guy. But you see, homosexuals, Muslims, Sikhs, crazy people, radical feminists, transgendered individuals who have murderous intent. Who else? People trying to jump the border without any identification. And then, people trying to also jump the border without identification and scam the system, through welfare and other, various means. Like there's such a long ass list that it's pointless. Islamophobia is pointless. Racism is pointless. Me using kitty words or dancing around the idea that we're dealing with retards is pointless. And the entire time, we're wondering to ourselves, like, don't they know what's going to happen if they keep this up? And it just did. I think, like, it all boiled down to this one instance, right? I would go on, City TV News. I stopped watching it. Like, I honestly thought that, like, going on the elliptical, then I'll just, like, turn on the TV. I'll just watch news for, like, 30 minutes. It's fine. Well, it wouldn't be, like, that big of a deal. Holy shit, dude. The indoctrination that they'll try to get into you as a Canadian, right? They make you watch these things where America is like this bumbling fool of a country, and that they're going to basically cause the world economy and like the global markets to crash. And there's so much worry. Oh, the Americans this, the Americans that. It's because, and let's be honest, when we're dealing with a lot of Canadians, they are 100% dependent on Americans. The majority of Canadians are 100 dependent, 100%, 100% dependent on Americans. Not all of them. Some who live off the grid or some who have more independence than others, but the vast majority of Canadians are 100% dependent on Americans for defense, for technological, breakthroughs, for, helping with the shipping of with other countries and stuff because they'd much rather, trade with the American dollar than with the Canadian dollar. So, who's your leader, right? And you gotta understand, like the price of victory for men causes weak men to quiver and recoil in fear. And when you make a man, feel fear for long enough, that fear turns to anger and then hate. The whole Star Wars stick, Yoda just laying it out. But it actually does have some semblance of truth because you get jealous ass men like our prime minister who, let's just say he had a son, right? He's just gonna take it out on everybody else and then just flood the country with new immigrants. No laws to protect us. We have a gun buyback program, which I mean, a lot of people are getting shot, a lot of people are dying, a lot of them are teenagers and shit too. There's this one incident where there was a lady doing an interview with city TV and she got jumped by three youths and she got a black eye. And it's this crazy thing where because you don't want to police the immigrants who largely come from a country with no laws and stuff. So it's just a population, fuckfest. You don't want to police crime with in the cities and stuff because you say that we're profiling certain types of people, it's racist this, it's racist that, and then you don't want to police crazy people because you're oh my god, they got mental health issues, and you're just wondering what the fuck is going on, who the fuck is doing anything. And then it goes back to this story I heard way back, maybe the beginning of the year, or if not towards the end of the last year, of this guy, right? And he was fighting off people breaking into his house, or this one person breaking into his house. I think it was just one person. And then he pulled out a baseball bat or a hockey stick or something, and then the police put him in jail. They arrested him. And it's just realization that you've won, but you don't know why you were in a war to begin with, why you were fighting the war for masculinity, the war for your own identity and stuff. And now you're starting to figure out, and it's kind of horrifying because that war is a war that they lost and you won, and they're not going anywhere. They're not going to die. They're not going to leave, move out, go someplace else. So what is the price of victory? Well, you're going to have a bunch of people, right, who are hating on the Jews right now, and that shit's not going to go away. And it's affecting a lot of people who are being born right now, and it's affecting how the divisions of people have been and how they existed in the past to what they are now. Because I can still remember I barely remember the first day, but I remember when he came to school, we had this one Iranian kid named Majid. He didn't speak any English. He was he knew his shit. He was a smart kid, all that. He eventually learned how to speak English and stuff, right? But what I'm saying is you would have a situation where you have this one singled out Persian Muslim guy in a fully all Jewish school, and well, mostly all Jewish school, right? I was there, and a bunch of other non-Jewish people were there, right? But we were the minority, and that would be okay. But now you literally have to have, alongside Catholic schools, I think you're going to need to start having Muslim only schools. I'm no joke. Islamic only schools for Muslim kids. They could observe their fasting rituals, their halal foods, whatever, dress code, all that shit. But we all know what the Muslim kids think about that. No, I want to go to school with all the other kids. It's just whatever, right? But that is the price of victory, man. Like that is the price of people respecting your religion, your identity, your culture, your fasting thing. Like you're like you see these videos that they're like snapping at people. It's like, oh, why are you eating in front of me? Why? Where's all the halal food? Where's this? Where's that? They want to pray on the streets. They want to pray at this time. They want to pray at that time. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they get what they want, but it's segregation, right? So going back to this whole like Puff Daddy and like the whole, the black youth trying to like, get people, to be very sexually promiscuous, get dirt on them, and also like spread diseases, right? So it came out. Maybe I touched on this. Um, at Houston, Texas, there was like some kind of like get together, and people were, getting, like engaging in like really voracious, unprotected sex, and a lot of these guys, were getting sick. And like, there's this one guy apparently, because you could test for all these different kinds of STDs. There was this one guy who just got every single fucking one of them, and it just makes all the sense in the world. It's like we needed um, the context to why the treatment of all these ethnicities was so like forward, right? So like for the East Asians, right? Oh, you don't speak proper English, we'll make fun of your accent. Oh, with like, the brown people, oh, you guys like, you don't shower, you guys like to play with feces, you like to litter, do all this other stuff. We'll just make fun of you and you're like, hygiene and shit. But then when it came to like black people, Muslims, and all the people who act as like the human shields for the upper class, it's like no, 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 you can't speak out against them, that's racist, right? And like out of fear for the Muslims, oh no, they're gonna do something. And it's like, well, why can they do something? Who let them in the country? And it's like, oh yeah, it's the same people who are conveniently racist only just to you. And then like they leave like other ethnicities, well, to your face, right? Behind your back, like, pretty much everybody may have something else to say, but and of course I'm not gonna say that like it's all white people, it's all this, it's all that. No, I'm talking about like the kinds of people who have the power to bring these people into the country, to have them exclusively get these jobs to replace like the working class so that they can vote largely, one-sidedly, and embellish the political careers of all these individuals and stuff. And it's so sad that like when you hear about this thing in Houston, Texas, I have some black friends and stuff too, right? Like it's a little, I would say, orchestrated, if you will, but it was like something that growing up I felt like it was orchestrated. Like it was like you know the amount of sexualization in the black community and culture is just so obscene. Like at a certain point, like everybody has to acknowledge it. It's like why can't there be a gap of innocence in a child's life? Let's say from like from a kid to like 16, 17, right? All right, so 16, because kids grow up fast with the internet and shit, right? But like, wouldn't that be fair? But like, kids are growing up stupid levels fast with like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds trying to get like social media. Apparently, social media is getting banned for kids under 16, and like I'm all for that, but then I'm like thinking about the chaos that will ensue because that is the life of these people. Like it is the price of victory, the cost of victory. Like we're basically ripping out the stitches that you know hold people's lives together. They're their social media, their like sexual liberation, their affinity to like hide behind the idea of, if you criticize me, it's racist when everybody knows that's just bullshit. And with the Strait of Hormuz opening up, I think it's like a 2020 clear cut vision that we've won, but at the cost of their psyche. And they're most likely going to start, lashing out more. You're going to start seeing more of that, like, that crazy incel guy saying that women don't love him. You're going to start seeing more of that. Maybe not somebody dumb enough to, like, tape it, video, put it on the internet, but, like, a lot more of that. You're seeing like a lot more people insulting, not just Marathon, but our creators too. It's just one of those things that just you gotta understand the costs.